Louisiana.
Let me cut you off because I'm going to run out of time. In August 2021, we're not talking 20 years ago, we're talking 2021, you were involved in another report by the SPLC, and you said that voter identification, photo ID to vote, is burdensome and does not serve any legitimate state interest. Do you really believe that?
Senator, identification for voting is
Yes,
something.
but first, do you really believe that? You said it. You meant it?
The Supreme Court in Crawford v. Marion County has already upheld voter ID laws as per se
Yeah, but you said it
constitutional.
didn't serve any legitimate state interest. Do you believe that?
Again, Senator, without that language in front of me, it's hard to understand
You
the
said
context.
it. Here it is, August 2021.
Well, there are
I'm
cases.
just asking you to explain to me why, having to prove you are who you say you are before you vote, you said it doesn't serve any legitimate state interest. I'm just asking you to explain that statement to me.
I understand, Senator Kennedy, and again, without being able to see the language that appears before and after, it's hard for the context.
You deny that you said it?
I can't say that I haven't seen that language in front of me, but what I do know is that there have been voter ID cases in which courts have found
Yeah, but
that
I know, I'm familiar with the case law, but I'm asking what you think, because you may be on the 11th Circuit. Do you believe that voter ID is inappropriate?
my commitment is to uphold the Supreme Court's decision in Crawford v. Marion
I know, but
County.
here you said it was inappropriate. You deny that?
Well, again,
saying it?
Senator, it would be helpful to know if that section of the report also.
Some of my colleagues have already expressed concern with your hate group list. This list is what incited violence against people in groups like the Family Research Council, and you've also released a list of members of Congress who traffic in hate and extremism. The list includes me, as well as Senators Cruz and Hawley. So did you have any involvement in this list, including approving its publication?
No, Senator, I did not.
Were you aware of it?
No.
When did you become aware of it?
Well, the SPLC just recently published its Year in Hate report, and so that would be the most recent exposure that I would have had to the work the
Can you
organization.
explain why the three of us ended up on your hate list?
No, I cannot.
You can't. All right.
Did you say, quote, racist white Southerners, close quote, and, quote, hostile white voters and governmental officials in Louisiana continue to make local polling places and early voting locations threatening spaces for black voters? Did you say that?
Senator, I do not believe that I said that. I haven't read that publication in some
Will you help
time.
write it?
I helped to draft the publication and approved it, but I'm not familiar with that
Oh,
language.
you don't? Okay. Tell me where in Louisiana local polling places and early voting locations are threatening African-American voters. You said it, so which polling places?
So again, Senator, obviously I don't have that report in front of me to be able to read and remind myself of the examples that might have been shared, but what I can say is that
What is the selective incorporation doctrine?
that also in the voting rights or civil rights context is a term that I haven't had to come across, but what I do know is that as a legal research and writer, and for sure confronting possibly new areas of law, I look very forward to doing my due diligence in terms of making sure I'm familiar with doctrines such as that one.
Do you know what it is?
So no, I'm not familiar with it sitting here
Selective
today with
incorporation
you.
doctrine? Okay. Well, you're going to see a lot of it if you're confirmed on the 11th Circuit. Does the United States Congress have delegated powers or plenary power?
Well, the Congress has both, I would say, from my general understanding. Again, it depends on the context and the issue, but
Okay.
it is.
Can you explain the difference to me between strict scrutiny and
You've repeatedly criticized America. You've criticized the criminal justice system and our institutions for suffering from your term, and I'm quoting you, systemic sexism and structural racism. And yet, that organization, the Southern Poverty Law Center, has been embroiled in a racism and sexism scandal for years. And employees of the SPLC have said that it suffers from and I'm quoting from them, systemic culture of racism and sexism within its workplace, and an environment in which a woman is not seen and heard, end quote. So one employee stated that her, and I'm quoting again, that employee, quoting, boss only hires white people, end quote. So why do you remain committed to working for an organization with this type culture?
Senator Blackburn, as I shared with your colleague earlier, I joined the SPLC soon after those issues came to surface.
Okay, let me go to that because the SPLC got rid of their co-founder and longtime president because of those accusations. But recent reporting indicates that nothing has changed. This past August, a former staffer wrote an article revealing that the person who the SPLC brought in to fix these issues was hired only to, and I'm quoting them, protect the reputation of the SPLC and not to enact or recommend changes that were desperately needing, end quote. So, back to you on the question, why have you spent years in a senior leadership position with an organization that has a notorious culture